This video is about solving right triangles. By that we mean we're going to be looking for missing sides and missing angles. We have a number of tools such as the acute angles add to 90 degrees, the Pythagorean theorem, and with trigonometry we have our trig functions, sine, cosine, and tangent, and as well as the inverse functions which we'll use to find an angle. It's important that you are familiar with all of these tools. Here's our first example. We're asked to find x, and the first thing we want to do is see what they have given to us. They've given us angle A as 50 degrees, and the length of the hypotenuse is 18. What are we being asked for? Well, x is the length of the side which is opposite angle A. This is what we're being asked for. So we're going to use a trig function that relates opposite and hypotenuse. So you may be thinking SOHCAHTOA, and you should come up with sine. We're going to use our 50 degrees. This is the angle that we have. So we're going to say the sine of 50 degrees equals the length of the opposite side divided by the length of the hypotenuse, or opposite over hypotenuse. That's the equation that we need to solve in order to find x. So here we are. To solve this, I'm going to clear the fractions by multiplying both sides by 18. And that gives me 18 times the sine of 50 equals x. You're going to go ahead and now work that out on your calculator. And depending on your calculator, the keystrokes may be different. So make sure you're able to get to this answer. It's a rather long answer, but we're going to round it to the nearest hundredth. Notice I say approximately equal, because even with 8 decimal places, that's not exactly the answer. This number continues on. It is an irrational number. But to round to the nearest hundredth, I see that the hundredths place is here, so I need to look at that next number, and I see that it is more than 5 or more I should say, and that tells me to go up, and here's my answer rounded to the nearest hundredth. That's the length of x. Now my next problem, we're asked to find x. I need to look at what was given to me and what I'm being asked for. I've been given angle B. I've been given this side whose length is 6. Now compared to B, that is the side which is opposite angle B. I'm asked for the length of this side where it says x, and compared to angle B, that is the adjacent side. So I'm looking for adjacent and opposite, and I'm thinking what trig function has to do with opposite over adjacent. And you should come up with tangent. I'm going to apply that to the angle that I know. I'm going to say the tangent of 35 is equal to, and now there it is, 6 over x. This is the equation I need to solve in order to find x. Well, I need to clear the fractions. I can consider this over 1. I could multiply by the LCD, which is x. Or in this case, when you have a fraction equal to a fraction, that's the one case when you can cross multiply. And that's what I'm going to do. This is exactly the same result as if you were to multiply both sides by x. You would get here. Now since I need to solve for x, and I see that it's x times tangent of 35, I'm going to divide both sides of the equation by the tangent of 35. Remember, tangent of 35 is a number, so I can divide both sides by tangent of 35. And this gives us x equals 6 divided by the tangent of 35. This, by the way, is really the exact answer, but then we're going to write it as a decimal, since it does say to round to the nearest hundredth. So go ahead and try that on your calculator. Make sure you're able to get to this answer. Here, again, many numbers, but since we're rounding to the nearest hundredth, I'm just looking at the next place. I see it's 5 or more, so it will go up, and there's my answer, 8.57. That's the length of x to the nearest hundredth. In this problem, they don't draw a triangle. You might want to go ahead and sketch out your triangle. You know that the C is 90 degrees. They tell you that. We have A and B, which could be put in either of these two places. They tell us A is 27. What is B? That's the question. Well, these two angles, the two acute angles, are going to add up to 90 degrees. And that should be clear, since you know that there's 180 degrees in the triangle, and C is 90, the other two must add up to 90. So to find this missing angle, I'm simply going to subtract 27 from 90. And when I do that, I'm coming up with the number of degrees for angle B. Here they ask me to find an angle. I'm going to look at what they gave me. This 3 is the length of the side which is opposite angle A. And this 8 is the hypotenuse. So I'm thinking opposite and hypotenuse, that would be the sine function. So I'm looking for angle A. I'm going to use angle A. I'm going to say the sine of A equals the length of the opposite divided by the length of the hypotenuse. Opposite over hypotenuse, that's 3 over 8 in this case. And now I'm looking for this missing angle. So this is where I'm going to say A is equal to the inverse sine of 3/8. And you want to work that out on your calculator. Again, make sure you're able to work that out to come out to this answer here. Of course, this is many digits. We want to round to the nearest tenth. Here's the tenths place. I'm looking at the place after that, the next place over. That is not 5 or more. Therefore, it's not going to go up. I'm going to get 22.0. I don't really have to write the 0.0 if I don't want to. So here's my answer. A equals 22 degrees.